Greetings everybody and welcome here to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So here we are Monday night. So we're doing Monday night's look back at a classic rock album. This is an album that I really like a lot. It's not my favorite by the group, but if another group or any other group was to do this, this could easily be my favorite by them. But anyways, we're talking about Supertramp's, sorry, try to get up close here, Even in the Quietest Moment. This is a bit of an older album, one of my oldest albums, one of my oldest CDs. I've had this, God, it's got to be 35 years now. I got this disc, and it's kind of a worn out. I played it a lot over the years. Always an album I go back to fairly regularly. I don't know, between this and Crime of the Century are the two I listen to the most, although I do like Breakfast in America a lot as well. So anyways, this album is the one that came out before Breakfast in America, so it came out in that string. It went Crime of the Century, Crisis What Crisis, Even in the Quietest Moment, and then Breakfast in America, the 4-string albums that they put out that were all fantastic. So this album was released April the 8th, 1977. On the Caribou, it was recorded at the Caribou Ranch in Nederland, Colorado, and record plant in Los Angeles. It's about 43 minutes long, which is fairly lengthy for an album of this time. This is kind of the upper edge, towards the upper edge of what I like. I like my albums between about 35 and 45 minutes. It starts getting beyond that, it gets a little long, a little hard for me to listen to. This one I have no problem with, though. The music is so good that I just doesn't bother me the length of time. A&E Records, sorry, A&E, Arts and Entertainment. Yes, no, this is the A&M record label. Producer was of course Supertramp. They produced the entire album themselves. In the band we got Roger Hodgson on vocals, 6 and 12-string electric guitars, electric piano, and some synthesizers, as well as the pump organ. Rick Davies on vocals, piano, organ, synthesizers, clavinet, electric piano, and melodica, which I believe is a type of mellotron. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's what it is. Dougie Thomas, bass. John Helliwell on all the saxophones and clarinets on the album, and Bob Siebenberg on drums and percussion. So this is the classic lineup on the classic album. So this album has more of an emotional attachment to me than some of the other Supertramps. I do like them all. They all tend to get deep into you because of their lyrics and the sound of the music. It just kind of gets right inside you, and this one is no exception to that rule. I'm just going to put my glasses on so I can actually see what I'm doing. So there are only 7 tracks on this album, but they're fairly lengthy. Most of them, there's a couple on here that are over 6 minutes, and then there's one track that's, actually there's 3 over 6 minutes, and then the Fool's Overture at the end is over 10 minutes. So that's why only the 7 songs on the album. So it starts out with Give a Little Bit, which is a classic hit for Supertramp. Most people know this song. It's got a real catchy melody. Roger Hodgson singing it. Just such a great tune. It's got a little bit of an upbeat to it, which is kind of an outrider on this album. This album is kind of emotionally deep, dark. It's got a dark feel to it. I actually love it, and I don't normally like that kind of an album, but I love this one for that reason. Yeah, but it does start out with this kind of Give a Little Bit, which is a kind of an up-tempoed song, really catchy and great kind of radio-friendly song. The next song up, Lover Boy. This one's more of a, in some ways it's a personal favorite of mine on the album. It has that great piano. Rick Davies' voice is great on this. It kind of hits home for me. It touches parts of me that aren't always apparent on the outside, but definitely reaches to me on the inside. Really good. The next song, Even in the Quietest Moments, is one of the reasons why I don't listen to this album as much as I used to. I absolutely love this track. I think it's one of my favorite, if not my favorite, Supertramp song. It's definitely up there, but it always leaves me in tears. It touches a part of me that makes me sad and makes me cry. I'm not really sure why, but it's such a beautiful track. This album came to prominence with me in 2004 when I made the trip to New York City for the first time, and I took my daughter with me, so it was kind of an emotional trip for the two of us, and this was the song that just really set that tone for me. Downstream, this is probably my least favorite song and least memorable song on the album, but it's not a bad song by any stretch. Then you got Babaji, which at points in time is my favorite song on the album. I just think that Roger just delivers such a beautiful vocal performance on this. He just has so much emotion in his singing on this song, and it almost feels like something cataclysmic is going to happen, but it's such a grand song and long been one of my favorites by this group. From now on, another one of those songs that I do listen to. It's not one of my favorites on the album, but I don't dislike it. The last song, Fool's Overture, with that Winston Churchill part in it. This song is epic in its scale. Lots of really good piano. The whole album is proliferated with great piano, especially the electric piano. But there's lots in here. It's got this overall, this song has a bit of a classical feel to it. A lot of this album is a little bit more classical feeling and less commercial sounding than the next one in line. But overall, I think this is a wonderful album. If you have time to get to know this album, this is not an album you can just throw on the cassette and bop around to. It's not a bop around to album. This is an album that, might be a good headphones album, but it's definitely an album you have to sit and kind of digest what's being said and what's being sung. It's a real deep listening to album, I think. Maybe between this and Crime of the Century, they're probably the two albums that have that part of them that's very similar. You need to actually sit and really listen to what's being sung and said to appreciate it. And that's why I like this album so much. So this, Even in the Quietest Moment, is the album we've chosen to do this week, or I've chosen to do this week for my look back at a classic rock album. I hope that you get a chance to listen to this album now that you've heard a little bit about it. And if you are a favorite of the album, if this is one of your favorite albums, then you know what I'm talking about. And if you're new to this album, give it a chance. But don't expect a great impact initially, other than give a little bit, which might bop you up a bit. But other than that, it's going to take some time to really digest this album and appreciate it for its magnificence. So Even in the Quietest Moment by Supertramp. I hope you enjoyed this video today. If you did, please hit the like button below. Make any comments about the album or your experience with the album. Does it resonate with you as much as it does with me? Any of that kind of stuff in the comment section below. Please hit the subscription button. It's much appreciated. And if you want to be notified for next week's Monday Night Look Back at a Classic Rock Album, then please hit the notification bell. And you just have a great day today. Enjoy the rest of your day. Give the album a listen to if you have time. And we will see you next week on Monday Night's Look Back at a Classic Rock Album. Take care.